Good evening and welcome to the live Q&A with Stellenbosch University's Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. My name is Florence de Vries and with me in studio this evening is Mr. Carlo Links. He is the faculty's head of selections and admissions. Carlo, welcome.
Thank you, Florence.
The Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences is home to 15 academic departments and in turn these academic departments host 18 centers, bureaus and institutes. Our undergraduate program offering includes degrees in dietetics, medicine, nursing, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, and speech-language therapy. Carlo, we have received quite a number of questions already, so I'm going to kick off with the first one. If you are admitted in a BSc study program, can you, after finishing that degree, do an MBCHB?
Hi, Florence, and thank you for the question. Yes, so if you do get accepted, obviously this applicant has applied for 1 or 2 or 3 programs, and if he or she is accepted for BSc studies, she or he can then apply either in the first year, second year, or final year of the current studies at Stellenbosch University, whereby that person will then start for MBCHB in the first year of MBCHB. Alternatively, that student can also complete that current degree and then apply the following year for MBCHB. So yeah, that is applicable to all our 6 program offerings.
Perfect. Okay, so you can complete your BSc and then apply for the MBCHB. Right, the next question asks, can I apply for 2025, the academic year, with only Math Lit?
So all of our 6 program offerings, as you mentioned earlier, Florence, maths is a requirement except for the Bachelor of Nursing, whereby you can apply with math literacy, that you have to have 70% at least and above average for maths at the end of grade 12. So all of our 6 programs offerings is pure maths, but Math Lit is a consideration for Bachelor of Nursing.
Right, okay, thank you. When can I expect communication regarding the dates of the NBTs? I assume this is the National Benchmark Test.
Yeah, so the National Benchmark Test does not form part of any of our selections for any of our programs. It is, however, applicable to the Faculty of Law, if I'm not mistaken. But for the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, we do not require the NBT tests. This was taken away a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. However, there are candidates that's currently completing their grade 11 and 12 at the School of Tomorrow, which is a homeschooling system. And for those candidates, particularly the NBTs are required. So they can go to nbt.ac.za and then they will then obviously register themselves, and they've got national venues where they can complete the NBTs, and the NBTs is applicable to all institutions of higher learning in South Africa. But for our program specific, it's not a requirement except if you are attending the School of Tomorrow.
The School of Tomorrow, right. So you have to write the NBTs if you're attending the School of Tomorrow, which is a home-based schooling system. Right, okay. When I check my application status on the website, it says my program status has been approved. What does that mean?
So basically all our applications goes into different stages. It goes into reviewed stage, it goes into approved stage, and then it goes into a selection stage. So when it shows to the applicant that it has been approved, it just means that we've approved your application, that all the information is correct on the application, and that you have submitted the requisite documentation for that particular application. It does not mean that you have been accepted for the program. It's way too early in the year for that. So it just basically means that the application went through successfully. We will start with communication in early September with regards to our outcomes of our current grade 12 applications.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Carlo. Okay, the next question is asking about dentistry. Can I change from a Bachelor of Oral Health to the MBCHB, and after how long can I change?
So the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences does not offer oral health as a standalone program. However, our neighbors here next door, the University of the Western Cape, does offer oral health and dentistry as 2 different program choices. So for MBCHB, it's tricky because for MBCHB, you cannot be considered if you are currently registered at another institution for any program. So whether it be a diploma or whether it be a degree, say for instance, this applicant is doing health at UWC, and then in the year of the application, he or she will not be able to apply for MBCHB for the following year. That applicant has to then obviously complete his or her current degree, which is Bachelor of Oral Health, and then in the community service year, they can then apply for MBCHB for the following year. So if they complete this year, next year would be 2025, they will do the community service year, and then in that community service year, they can apply for MBCHB for 2026.
Right. Very similar to the BSc question.
There we go.
So you complete your degree that you're busy with, and thereafter you can, or at least after you finish the requirements of the program you did, you can apply to the MBCHB program.
That's correct, yeah.
Right. Okay. The next question. I want to study medicine, but my grade 11 marks are not the best. I am, however, working towards better marks for grade 12. Is there any chance that I can get in with a bad grade 11 report, but an amazing grade 12 report?
Okay, so for our faculty, we've got 2 rounds of selections. So we've got our first round of selections based on the grade 11 results, which is in early September, as I mentioned earlier. And then our second round of selections is in January next year, once we receive your final grade 12 results. So technically, say for instance, this applicant is applying for MBCHB, the overall average in grade 11 has to be 75% and above. So technically, if this applicant does not meet that threshold of 75%, gets 70% to 65%, we will then reconsider that applicant in grade 12 in January next year. If that applicant opts to stay on our waiting list, because we have a waiting list, so we will send communication to those applicants to inform them, listen here, do you want to stay on our waiting list for that particular program? If they say yes, we give them a deadline and they say yes, and then in January we reconsider those applicants who indicated that they wish to remain on our waiting list, and we will reconsider them based on the amazing grade 12 results.
Okay, perfect, good. Okay, and the next question. If I pass my first year in nursing with very good marks, will I be able to apply for becoming a doctor? So that's the MBCHB program, the year thereafter.
So we offer nursing as well as a program. So we do not allow for any movement between our 6 program offerings or undergraduate program offerings. So in other words, if this applicant gets accepted for nursing first year and then wishes to or wants to then apply for MBCHB for the following year, unfortunately do not allow that. That person has to complete the nursing degree first, do the community service, and then in the community service year apply for MBCHB. The same applies for if this person is registered for nursing at another institution outside of our faculty. That person has to complete that degree first, and then we can only consider that person for MBCHB, but that person will start in their first year of MBCHB.
Right. Okay.
That is only applicable to MBCHB. There are different selection criteria for our different programs, but this is only particular specific to MBCHB.
Okay. Thank you, Carlo. Okay, I am currently upgrading my level 4 in maths and physics. Do I stand a good chance? I am going to ask you to answer that question for across the programs.
Okay.
I am assuming that this person maybe means MBCHB, but they could mean another program in our faculty.
So level 4 is 50%, is between 50 and 59%. So it depends on the program. So technically speaking, we would not necessarily accept a person with level 4. However, if they do upgrade their marks, once they receive their upgraded marks, they have to send their marks to us so that we can upload it on their behalf. They won't be able to upload their marks from their side, so we will do it on their behalf so that we can have the new marks on our system. But with level 4, for instance, with MBCHB, you need 60% for maths and then 50% for life sciences and physical sciences, and that applies to our other programs as well. So that is basically level 4 and level 4 and level 5. However, because of the strength of our application pool, we only select the top candidates first. We select from the top down, and we hardly get to those candidates who has level 4 or level 5 for maths or physics or life sciences. However, if you improve dramatically, you are allowed to send us your results. We will upload those results, and we will reconsider you again. Yeah.
Perfect. That's very good. So yes, maybe you do stand a good chance. Okay, the next question. If I'm in post-matric, okay, so they've already completed matric, do I still need to wait until January in order to be accepted?
Okay, so post-matric refers to someone who has matriculated 1 or 2 or 3 years ago. In our context, we refer to them as B1, B2, and B3 students. So B1 students or applicants are those candidates that's in grade 12 this year,
Okay.
or has been grade 12 in 2023 or 2022, but did not participate in any formal studies after school.
Right.
That is B1 candidates. So this particular candidate falls into that category. They will also be reconsidered like this year's grade 12s
Okay.
in January. However, B2 candidates refers to registered Stellenbosch University and other university students. So they do not get reconsidered. We make them an offer, we decline them in December of this year, and that's
Okay.
the final outcome of the application. And the same applies to B3 students or applicants. B3 applicants refers to those candidates who have tertiary qualifications
Right.
or work experience.
Okay.
So those are mostly your more mature
Right.
applicants, and for them they will have their outcomes in early November of this year.
Okay, so there is a category for if you have already been working,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. The next question is around upgrading marks. If I upgrade my marks, will the institution have access to my new results, or do I have to send or upload it to the university?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, if you are upgrading your marks, you have to send it to us, and they can send it to TIG Selections, which is one word, at sun.ac.za. We will then upload those marks on their behalf, and then once they log into the applicant portal the next day or a few days after that, they will be able to see the upgraded marks.
Okay.
But they have to send us certified copies of those upgraded results in
Okay.
order for us to upload it.
Okay, perfect. So the onus is on you to
Yes.
send it to the institution. Right. The next question, when can I expect a response letter? I'm assuming this is in response to an
To
application.
an applicant. So yeah. So also, as I mentioned earlier, so you apply now up until the end of July, and then you won't hear from us up until September again. So
Okay.
September we do our provisional or conditional acceptances and outright declines, and then in January again you will get your final confirmation letter whether you've been accepted or not.
Okay. Just in terms of an outright decline, an outright decline is an outright decline.
An
There's
outright
no-
decline based on your, remember, it's based on your grade 11 results.
Right.
So if you
Okay.
decide to remain on our waiting list or reconsideration list for January, then we have to reconsider you again.
Perfect.
So an outright decline is just based on your grade 11 results now,
Okay.
but in January, once you get the decline, that's the final. That's the
Okay.
final, yeah. the
All
final
right, but
answer.
that's also another, response or way of looking at the grade 12 learners question
Exactly.
about their 2 sets of results. Right. Do students doing the Cambridge curriculum also get chosen for medicine in the same way?
Yes, so we consider all our schooling systems in the same category. No one gets preference over the other one. So Cambridge, SAICA, NEC, American High School Diploma. It does not matter which schooling system, IEB, for instance, you do. If you're at Curro or if you're at a rural school, it does not matter. We don't look at your school. We don't look at your schooling system. You all get evaluated the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you reconsider students once their final results come out in January? Yes,
as,
you've
I-
answered that
as
question.
I've mentioned earlier.
Right,
yeah.
okay. Okay, here's an interesting one. My first choice is medicine, but I got approval for BSc Medical Science. Should I accept BSc Medical Science until we hear if I'm accepted into medicine? Or will accepting BSc Medical Science affect my chances for acceptance into medicine?
So no. So we do not rank your programs or your application traces. So there's no first, second, or third choice. So we actually encourage, because we make our offer so late or later than the other faculties, we actually encourage students or applicants to accept those offers that they get at science faculty
Okay.
or at law or at education or engineering. Accept those offers, and if we make you an offer after the fact, you can just decline the other offer and accept
Okay.
ours.
So even if you've already started with that program
Technically, we would want
in the academic year.
yeah. So technically, we would want the class to be full before that happens.
Right.
So usually our classes start around about 13th or 14th of February in the new year. So technically, the classes should be full by then.
Okay.
But if there is still space in that particular program, so if there's space in MBCHB for one more student in the first week of lectures, then we
May
could
make an
potentially
effort,
offer that student a space. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next question. Please discuss the faculty's partnership with local hospitals and clinical sites for hands-on training. So here I can just say one or two things. We have a distributed platform which we have across, well, I want to say across the country, but it's more or less the Western Cape, the Northern Cape, and I think parts of the Eastern Cape, if I'm not mistaken. And then obviously we have a very, very good partnership with the hospital right next to our faculty, the Tygerberg Hospital. But can you say a little bit more about clinical sites and hands-on training that our students get? And that is for all programs, all our students, whether you're MBCHB, nursing, speech language, etc., you all get exposure to clinical.
To clinical, as you mentioned, at Tygerberg Hospital, in our skills lab, that on our campus as well. I think there's offsites, there's offsite in Worcester as well. So that applies to all of our programs. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
But if they need more information, they can always contact me, or they can contact the program heads directly.
Okay.
Because they will be able to provide more information with regards to the more logistical side of things.
Yeah, like Sunlock, etc.
Yeah.
But just in a quick answer to that question, we have several partnerships with a number of hospitals across the country where our students go. Right. Okay. Does your university give students bursaries?
Yes, so we've got a few bursaries. So there's basically three types of bursaries. There's Stellenbosch University funding, then there's Stellenbosch University donor funding, and then the third one is faculty-specific funding. So Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences specific funding. For example, the ITEMBA MBCHB bursary fund, and then there's also obviously the NSFAS bursaries that students or applicants can apply for. The bursaries opens the 1st of July and it closes the 30th of September this year. And that's for current students and for new applicants and for new students. So there's various bursaries that they can apply for, and it is on our website at martis.com. You just click on bursaries and loans, and we'll give you a breakdown of all the bursaries as well as the application process for those bursaries as well.
Okay. So in short, yes.
Yes.
You just have to check out our website.
Yeah.
There is a section on bursaries and loans. We've had a similar question. So the question very shortly is, do we recognize the American High School Diploma?
Yes,
and
we do.
For
Yes, we do.
MBCHB specifically,
Yeah.
yes. The answer is yes. I think I know the answer to this question, but let me ask it. Is it possible to bridge courses from engineering to MBCHB?
Yeah, so that term bridging is a very misleading term. So first and foremost, we don't offer bridging courses at our faculties. We don't have extended degree programs. It's all the normal duration for our programs. For MBCHB, for instance, it's 6 years. But I think what this applicant is referring to is, if they are doing engineering currently at Stellenbosch University, will they be able to move to MBCHB the following year? Yes, if they are in their first, final, or postgraduate year in engineering faculty, then they are allowed to move over. We will then assess them based on the engineering results and not on their grade 12 results anymore.
Right.
So we will look at those marks, and for those marks they have to have a weighted average of at least 70% at the end of the year to be considered for MBCHB.
And that's your university result?
That's university
70%.
results,
Okay. All right. Okay, the next question. Can I do BSc in physiotherapy with level 4 on maths and physics?
So, as I mentioned earlier, that is the minimum requirement. However, we will technically never accept someone who just meets the minimum requirements. Like I said, we select from the top down. But so I would urge this applicant, if they are currently in grade 12, to try and do their best to up those marks so that we can at least consider him in January next year. Yeah.
Okay, you do stand a chance
Yeah.
if you try very hard. Okay, what's the process of writing the SJT? That is a different type of test.
Yeah.
Will you just explain the acronym and then the process?
So SJT is the situational judgment test, which we had 2 years ago. It is subsequently been discontinued. We are still reviewing it. It's under review currently. It takes time. So for next year's intake, for the 2025 intake year, the SJTs or the NBTs are not a requirement. We only look at your academic merits. So we only look at your results and your marks in order for us to consider you for selection.
Okay. So you say that, sorry, just to add on to that, you say we only look at marks,
Yeah.
right? So so nothing else you do in your high school career, whether it's outreach, community work, etc.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So it's not a requirement for you. So many applicants, first team hockey captain,
Yes.
first team rugby captain,
Or leadership
or
position,
leadership
yeah.
positions, outreach work. So we don't expect that as part of your selection criteria. I know in the old days it was like that. That was the case.
Does it help?
It for purely for selection purposes, no. So for selection purposes, we only look at your marks.
Right.
But obviously, I always tell applicants, and I tell parents as well, and students and learners, that that is something that stays with you. No one can take that away from you. So that stays with you. It's on your CV. It's on your portfolio of evidence.
Right.
So that stays with you for life. But unfortunately, for the purposes of selection into our faculty, we have to be fair across the board, and
Right.
we only look at your marks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much. If I'm provisionally accepted in September and I maintain my marks for my matric finals, can I assume I'll be accepted or can I still be declined? By how many levels can I drop to still be safe?
Okay, so the nice thing about our faculty is if you get a conditional or provisional acceptance letter in September this year, you do not need to maintain those marks. You then just need to get the minimum requirement
to pass.
to pass, and then we will accept you and we will make you a final offer. So in other words, say for instance you get accepted based on your grade 11 results, and in your grade 11 results you had an average of 90% at the end of the year, and you got conditional acceptance into MBCHB. So that does not mean that at the end of grade 12 this year you need 90% again. Then you just need 75%
Okay.
to secure your spot. So I know at some institutions you can't deviate between 3 or 4% from your grade 11 to your grade 12 results. By us, it's not like that. By us, you just need to meet the minimum requirements. So the minimum requirements is 75% for MBCHB and 60% for all our other five programs. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So yes, not by much.
Not by much, yeah.
If I've applied for physio, OT and nursing, OT is occupational therapy, which campus will I study at?
Okay, so physio and nursing is here at our campus,
Yes.
Tygerberg campus. Occupational therapy, you do your first year at Stellenbosch campus, and the remainder of your degree you do here by us, because for occupational therapy specifically, many of the modules are offered across faculties, so at the science faculty and at our faculty. So it would be better then obviously to be there for that year, complete
Before
that
you come
year,
over.
and then you come over this side.
Isn't it the same for speech language?
For speech language therapy as well, yes. And then also, say for instance, if that particular applicant is in a residence at Stellenbosch University or campus, and now they need to move over for their second year, they can then just apply, and then we will just place you in one of our residences.
Okay, on
So,
Tygerberg campus.
Yeah, at the
Right.
Tygerberg campus.
Okay, so just to answer that question again, there are two of our programs, occupational therapy and speech language therapy, where you do the first year or two
Yeah, it depends.
at the Stellenbosch campus.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I applied for MBC or BSc medicine, but now I want to change my medicine program for engineering. How do I go about this?
Okay, so you can email info@sun.ac.za. .za, apologies. That's our client services department. You can just in the subject line just indicate your application number starting with APP. and then that you wish to change your programs, we won't be able to do it from our side, so that goes through to the Central Applications Office, and they will do any amendments to the applications up until the end of July. So that applicant has up until the end of July to change his or program choice. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I see a question that we have more or less answered, but I'll ask it anyway. What are the AS, it's the grade 12 Cambridge, grade requirements for maths, chemistry, biology and physics for MBCHB?
So as I mentioned earlier, so regardless of which schooling system you are doing, 75% is the average that you have to maintain. A lot of these Cambridge applicants who has the AS marks, which is in the high 80s and low 90s, which is good. So we will obviously consider them as part of our grade 12 group. The only difference between the normal NSC or IB marks and the Cambridge marks is the Cambridge marks gets evaluated by our colleagues in the international office, and they do the evaluation on their side. So they will look for all those 75% and above, and they will do the evaluation. They will then inform me or my office. We can consider this candidate, we cannot consider this candidate based on the recommendation, and we will then consider them. So for all our programs, 75, and for MBCHB 75, and for other 5 programs 60 and above.
Okay.
And that applies to Cambridge as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a couple of minutes left. Thank you very much, our team in the back of the studio. We have answered the question around changing courses, so let's move on to the other one. Hello, can you please clarify on the outright decline? Do I automatically go onto the waiting list if I've been unsuccessful based on grade 11 results?
So no. So for this year, last year it was the case. So for this year, what we've decided to do is, if you get a decline based on your grade 11 results, now, so you're grade 12 now, so you applied with your grade 11 results, now you get a decline or unsuccessful. That just means that even if you do meet the minimum requirements, we couldn't offer you a space at this time.
Okay.
So we will then send you separate communication to indicate, listen here, you've applied for MBCHB. Do you wish to remain on the waiting list or the reconsideration list for MBCHB? You will then indicate to us yes or no. If yes, then that outright decline does not stay outright decline.
Right.
In January, we will then reconsider you again based on the grade 12 results, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah.
I saw a question earlier which I think I skipped, but it is an important one. Can international students study the MBCHB?
Okay, so MBCHB, and in fact all of our programs, you have to be a South African citizen first and foremost. Or if you're not a South African citizen, you have to have a permanent residence permit, a permanent residence permit, PRP, or a asylum seeker permit, or a refugee permit.
Right.
Those are the categories that we allow. If you are an international student from anywhere except South Africa and you apply with a passport, unfortunately we cannot consider you for any of our programs. If you do not have those requisite documentation.
For undergraduate programs.
For undergraduate, that is not the same for postgraduate.
No. So it's a whole different ball game with postgraduate programs when it comes to international students. Thank you, Carlo. Okay, interesting one again. What study field should be my second option if I don't get accepted into MBCHB? That will make it possible to transfer into the field. Okay, so we already know you can't transfer into the field from another degree, but let's answer that first half of the question.
Okay, so that's a good question. So you've got 3 options. So MBCHB will obviously be this person's first option, and then I would recommend any 2 BSc programs
the
outside
BSc Human
Life Sciences, or BSc Biology, or BSc Anatomy, or Chemistry, which resides outside of our faculty, but still Stellenbosch University.
Okay.
So what we've noticed is that the transition from BSc Human Life Sciences, for instance, is much easier to then move over to MBCHB because you're used to the work and the module content. However, the second part of the question, we do not have second semester intakes, so you start off the following year in your first year of MBCHB. As you are aware, our MBCHB curriculum changed, so you have to complete your whole 6 years for MBCHB.
Okay, our time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really wonder if we can't just answer that last question. When will we start getting responses for undergraduates of 2025?
So September and January.
Okay, perfect. So
Short and
September of
sweet.
2024 and January of 2025.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from Carlo Links and I. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us for this live Q&A.
Thank you, guys.